15. It's used to drain people. The Force is widely known as a powerful energy source. It's been described in passing throughout the movies, and touched on by a few different characters. While a lot of information hasn't been given in large doses to the Star Wars audience, they have had the opportunity to pick up on what the Force is and does through bits and pieces of information. One of the best-known examples of using the Force is when Darth Vader chokes out his underlings. When people see Darth Vader do this, they think he's simply choking them. Although this is the case, what people don't know is that the Force can be used to also drain people of their energy. The source is used to, essentially, zap people of their life force. It's a dangerous power that should be avoided at all costs. It's used for lightning. The dark side of the Force is a place that you don't want to visit. Well, maybe you do if you can relate to the lonely figures such as Darth Vader and the Emperor. But, what's not known about the Force is that it can be used in a multitude of different ways. While it's true that both the light and dark side can use it, it's how the dark side uses it that is the real intriguing aspect of it. The dark side will use this power to the fullest extent. And it's extremely dangerous. For instance, the dark side can generate the bolt of lightning. This lightning, called electric judgment, can bake you and burn you to a crisp. It's a power that shouldn't be messed with. Especially if it's someone who is wielding it for the dark side. It can be transported. The Force is a simple yet complex subject to understand. It's an energy that people try to tame, yet rarely do. With both light and dark sides using the Force, some of these powers that are used are only used by the light side or the dark side. For example, one of the dark side's specific powers is used to transport consciousness. This is an extremely scary thought to think of. According to the lore of Star Wars, the ancient Sith used this technique to protect their tombs and habitats. They used it to transfer their consciousness into another person's body. In essence, they continue to live while their physical bodies may be rotting in the ground. Imagine a Sith transporting their consciousness into the body of a rebel general. It could spell the end for the opponents of the Sith.
12. It's used for levitation. The dark side is a nasty endeavor. It's full of despair and rage and all the negative energy that lives in the world. With the ability to use varying powers and to leverage these abilities in unique ways, it may surprise you that one of the things the dark side includes is the ability to levitate. Why is it surprising? Well, you don't really see it happen too often. It doesn't occur too much in the movies and it's one of the more tamer powers as it's something that's been seen in a variety of media. Maybe levitation is used in the books, but the movies hardly use levitation. However, the dark side can tap into this power and use it for their evil ways. Levitation is used for bad things if the dark side is wielding it.
11. The dark side invented the lightsaber. The Force that is used by anybody from the dark side is probably sued for maniacal purpose. But, what people in the Star Wars universe may not know is that every single lightsaber used, by both good and bad people, stems from the dark side. That's right, the dark side invented the lightsaber. This is a fact that comes as quite a shock to many. After all, lightsabers are the one weapon that both sides wield. Not to mention the color and the significance behind that. The dark side created a powerful weapon in the lightsaber. Its focused energy can slice almost anything in two. And it should be used with caution, as it's one of the most powerful handheld weapons a Jedi can use. It's even been said that the first Jedi to use the first lightsaber were almost corrupted by its evil nature.
10. The Sith aren't compatible with lightsabers. When you think of lightsabers, your mind probably jumps to some of the classic lightsaber duels you've read about or seen or played in the video games. Obi-Wan vs. Darth Vader. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan vs. Darth Maul. These fantastic fight sequences are etched into most people's minds when they think of Star Wars. However, you may have wondered how the weapons of choice for both Jedi and Sith got their color. The lore of the Star Wars universe says that the Jedi use a special kind of crystal for their lightsabers. Since the lightsabers are drawn to their life force, colors such as green and blue emerge. When an evil Sith picks up the lightsaber, the crystal picks up on the dark side of the Force. Hence, the color goes away. The crystal then has a bleeding effect with its energy, which causes the lightsaber to obtain a red color. 9. Sith swords were used on the dark side. The dark side of the Force holds a lot of secrets. It is also steeped in a ton of history and events that helped shape how the dark side came to be. One of these moments in history is the point in way before lightsabers. Before lightsabers were used, there were proto-sabers. However, the dark side saw that the light side had also developed katanas. Since the proto-sabers and things known as Force sabers were afraid to be used by several Jedi, they created katanas. To combat these katanas, the dark side invented Sith swords. These Sith swords could take on the light side's katanas. They were a mighty equivalent to the katanas and helped the dark side wage an ongoing war on the light side. However, as time went on, lightsabers became the norm and it's now the standard in the galaxy.
8. Darth Vader's lightsaber was searched for after his death. The death of Darth Vader hit everyone on the dark side. It was felt throughout the galaxy and rocked his followers to the core. So, after the shocking and climatic duel that led to his death, Darth Vader was held and looked at in high regard by the dark side. Anything he was associated with became infamous. One of those things in question is his lightsaber. Where, exactly, was it? Did it contain any sort of power left over from Darth himself? A group of people who embodied the dark side's values decided they were going to try and find the long-lost lightsaber. Who knows? Maybe it still held some sort of power within it. Ultimately, the group did find it. However, there was really no proof that it really was the lightsaber wielded by Darth Vader. Only hearsay. Seven. The word Darth has no real meaning. Some don't know how Darth Vader got his name. After all, is Darth a common name in the world that Star Wars takes place in? Is it like Dan or Mike? The answer is simple, yet opens the door for a real mystery. The name Darth is used as a symbolic name rather than an actual name. Not only that, but the last names of Sith are more symbolic than their first names. For instance, the name Vader is a given name. However, after Vader and the stature that he climbed to, others wanted to replicate it. They wanted the infamous feeling to ripple around people when they stepped onto the room. Other names that are used as symbols include Maul and Sidious. Either way, the first name has an origin that is unknown. The last name, however, is extremely important. 6. They have their own holocrons. Holocrons are used by both sides of the Force. Both the light side and the dark side have similarities. They both use lightsabers, they both fight for their ideas of what is right, and they both possess amazing skills in fighting. They also share a similarity when it comes to how they store their information. Both use devices known as holocrons. Holocrons are small objects that contain information. They can contain information ranging from historical accounts of battles that may help future generations survive to maps and codes that could help turn the tide in a war. The major difference between these devices is that they change in shape. While light side holocrons are square, the dark side holocrons look more like a pyramid. It's these devices that many a smuggler has probably brought into both the rebels and Sith's hands because of the potential power they may be containing. 5. They have their own code. A code of honor is what drives almost everyone in the universe. It doesn't matter whether you're a Jedi who is fighting to stop an expanding empire or fighting to wipe away the Jedi from the thousands of planets in the universe. Both sides of the Force have their own code they follow closely. As you can probably guess, the Jedi code is one that promotes peace and prosperity. Following a code is something that both sides do in order to keep some control over their followers. The dark side's focus on aggression may be more difficult to maintain rather than the Jedi's order of peace. The dark side is indeed tempting, and power-hungry people in the world of Star Wars can find a perfect home on this side of the Force. 4. The Sith were originally a species. This is a shocker. Yes, the Sith look at with their red skin. But, in the universe of Star Wars, it's really not that crazy to think that these red humans may have evolved over thousands and thousands of years. But, this isn't the case. In fact, the Sith were originally a species all of their own. With their red skin and aggressive nature, the Sith are not just a different species from humans. They are actually a human-Sith hybrid. This occurred when the Sith began breeding with humans. As the hybrid babies were born generation after generation, the race of Sith gradually began to disappear. It's not known where there are any more pure-blood Siths. Perhaps this is a story angle that authors may want to focus on when creating new and engaging Star Wars stories. 3. Darth Vader's lightsaber is different from all others. Darth Vader's lightsaber is definitely a hot commodity in the Star Wars universe. Besides the long and adventure-filled quest to actually find it, it's a surprising fact to learn that the dark side has yet another piece of technology that the light side can't touch. This functionality has to do with Darth Vader's precious lightsaber. It's a lightsaber that is unparalleled and has some hidden components. Besides having the bleeding effect, the lightsaber wielded by the man in the black mask is actually a different length than other lightsabers. While this may seem like an insignificant fact, it actually means quite a lot. The lightsaber is a dual-functioning lightsaber. It's one of a handful in the galaxy that exists. It's no wonder, then, why Darth was so powerful. An affinity to tape into the Force and a dual-functioning lightsaber come together for a deadly combination for Darth Vader. 2. The Sith were almost extinct. Yep. It's true. Before the Sith merged with the humans, they were a species who had been knocked around a few times. On more than one occasion, the Sith were almost driven to extinction. Granted, the Sith were always fighting and trying to gain power over their enemies. If you act like this all the time, there's bound to be species and races of aliens that are going to try and take you out. It almost happened to the Sith on a handful of occasions. Technically, the Sith are no more due to the fact that they have bred with humans. But, in general terms, they're still around. They are still around to fight the Jedi and keep the heroes in check. Darth Maul's appearance in the first part of the prequel trilogy really re-established the Sith in the universe of Star Wars. They were back. And they were looking for blood. 1. The rule of TW0. In the world of Star Wars, you may remember Darth Maul. He was the ridiculous Sith Lord who killed Qui-Gon Jinn in The Phantom Menace. With his dual lightsaber and amazing ninja skills, Darth Maul was a beast to tangle with. He is the ultimate baddie in the first prequel, and moviegoers can still point to this feud as one of the coolest looking. But, did you know that the dark side had a rule for their Siths? Dubbed the Rule of Two, it was always stated that there should be a master and an apprentice. If there's a Sith Lord, you better believe that there's a Sith apprentice somewhere close by. Imagining there is always a second Sith around probably sends chills down every Jedi's spine. They stick together and that makes them all the more terrifying.